Uh, so we will be continuing from where we left off last week, which was the 8. Last week we left off. We finished the 8 hot hells, the hot hell realms. Now what we are going to read from today is the neighboring hells. So we are reading the words of my perfect master, or my perfect teacher, by Pedro Rinpoche, and we are covering something called the defects of the samsara, within which there are many divisions, and we are at this very moment we are reading through something called the neighboring hells. So like before, I will read through the text. So around the hell of ultimate torment. So the hell of ultimate torment is at the bottom of the 8 hot hell realms. So which we covered last week, the last of the last week's the topics. And so the ultimate torment is at the very bottom of the hell realm, all the hell realm. So this is the most sinister. So it says the ultimate torment. So this is the the most sinister of all hell realm. So around the hell of ultimate torment, which is the bottom of the hell realm, in each of the 4 cardinal directions, south, east, west, north, there is a ditch of flaming embers, a marsh of rotting corpses, a plain of bristling weapons, and a forest of trees with razor-edged leaves. There is one of each in the north, south, east, and west, making 16 in all. In each of the intermediate directions, the southwest, southeast, northwest, and northeast, stands a hill of iron salmali trees. So the first is the pit of hot embers. The pit of hot embers, when beings have purged most of the effect of actions connected with the health of ultimate torment. So when the as we discussed last week, when all the sins that all the negative actions, all the negative consequences of your previous negative actions were sort of like purged, all the consequences were met in a certain hell realm, then you start upgrading to a better hell realm. So even though it's still a hell realm, it's still miserable, but the misery or the torment, the level of torment is much less than the one in which you were first born in. So slowly and slowly your pain and your torment level decreases. So those who have been born in the ultimate torment, they stay there for half a kalpa, so which is like millions of years. And when their negativities were purged, when their consequences of their negative actions were paid off to a certain degree, then they were born into a better realm in the hell, better place in the hell realm, called the neighboring hells. And within the neighboring hells, they will be first born in the hot embers. When beings have purged most of the effect of the actions connected with the hell of ultimate torment and emerge from it, they see, far away in the distance, what looks like a shady trench. So they see a little bit of shade, a little bit of coolness there, because they have been in the ultimate, the hell of ultimate torment, which is the hottest of the infernal hells, the hot hells. So been there for millions of years, and so when they see a in the distance, when they see a shady trench, a shade, they gain some relief. So they leap into that shady trench with delight. And once they jump into it, they find themselves sinking down into a pit of blazing embers, which burn their flesh and bones. Next, after suffering there for a long term, then they were able to finally escape from the pit of hot embers, and then they go into what's called the swamp of putrescent corpses. So they see a river having been roasted in a brazier for a whole kalpa. They are so thirsty that seeing water fills them with joy, and they rush towards it to quench their thirst. But of course there's no water. There's nothing but corpses. Corpses of men, corpses of horses, corpses of dogs, all decomposing and crawling with insects as they decompose, giving off the foulest of stenches. They stink into this mire until their heads go under, while worms with iron beaks devour them. After they were purged there for a certain amount of time, then they were finally able to escape from this swamp. And then when the degree of their negativities, that negative karma, were decreased to a certain degree, then they were able to see a pleasant green plain, green meadow. And but when they rushed there towards that meadow, what they actually find out is that it is bristling with weapons. It is filled with weapons, sharp-edged weapons like knives and razors and blades like that. The whole ground is covered with slender blades of burning hot metal, growing like grass, which pierce their feet with each step. Each foot heals as they lift it, only to be excruciatingly stabbed again as soon as they put it down. After they escape from the plain of razors, they are rejoiced. They are so happy to see a beautiful forest and rush towards that forest. But when they get there, there is nothing beautiful there. The forest is no longer beautiful when you look at it close up. It turns out to be a thick thicket whose trees have swords growing on their metal branches instead of leaves. So even though from far it looks like a beautiful tree, but when you look at it close up, that tree is actually not a real tree, but it is a swords tree. The the tree has gnarly swords growing out of it, and as they steer in the wind, the swords cut those beings' body into little pieces, so their body reconstitute themselves and are chopped up over and over and over and over again. When they escape from, finally they escape from the forest of swords, and then they go into something called the Hill of Iron Shalmali trees. So Shalmali trees. The Shalmali is a Sanskrit word. So there is a tree which is filled with razor sharp weapons, and so this is the place or the tree that people who break their samayas, or the people who break their vows, monastic vows, monks and nuns who break their vows, and people who give themselves over to sexual misconduct are reborn. And the effect of such actions bring them to the foot of the terrifying hill of Iron Shalmali tree. So what happens is, at the top of the tree, they can see their former lovers, calling them, and they are so eager to see, so happy to see their lovers, the lovers from their previous lives, up there on the top of the tree, and they climb up eagerly to join them with much excitement. And all the leaves of the iron trees, when they started going up, the leaves, which is a very sharp iron leaf, start to protrude from the trees, and they iron trees point downwards. All the leaves point downwards and pierce the flesh of the person who is climbing upwards, which is you, which is myself. And when they reach the top, they find ravens, vultures, and the like that dig out their eyes to suck up the fat. So the kind of birds and animals that we see at the cemetery, people, the birds and animals that eat the carcass, the bodies of dead animals, that kind of animals and birds will be there. Again, they see their friends calling them from the bottom of the tree. Now they go downwards, and as they go downwards, the leaf starts to turn upward, and then they again start to stab and cut through the flesh, the chest, and all over. Once they get down to the ground, hideous metallic men and women embrace them, biting off their head and chewing them until the brains trickle out of the corners of their mouths. Such are the torments experienced here. So now what we do is absorb all the details of the pains of the 8 hot realms, 8 hot hells, the 8 hot hells, the 16 neighboring and the supplementary hells, and the hills of iron shalmali trees, withdrawing to so what we are going to do is to observe, to contemplate on the experiences of the hell realms. So withdrawing to a quiet place, close your eyes and imagine that you are really living in the infernal realms. When you feel as much terror and pain as you would if you were really there, arouse the following thoughts in your mind. So just close your eyes and contemplate on what we discussed last week and today, the experiences of the hot hell realms and the neighboring hell realms. Even though we are not yet born there right now, we are not in the hot hell realms right now. But merely reading about the hot hell realms, actually shakes us. So it's such a terrifying experience just to read about it, just to hear about it. And the main cause for being born in the hell realm is due to, of course, our negative emotions. Of course, there's the negative actions. The actions are actually prompted by our negative, our afflictive emotions, our negative emotions, and especially it comes from the hatred. So with hatred, people who were born in the hell realm, the main cause for their birth in the hell realm is, of course, there is the physical actions, but that physical action is prompted by the mental afflictions, especially from the hatred aspect, from the hatred side. And so therefore, this is what we are going to visualize. Oh yeah. So let me read it through. I feel such intense terror and suffering when I just imagine all that pain, even though I'm not actually there. There are countless beings living in those realms right now, and all of them have been my parents in past lives. There is no knowing whether my parents, my own loved ones in this life, my parents from this life, my loved ones from this life, and my friends from this life would not be reborn there one day once they die. Or many of our loved ones, our relatives, our friends, our parents, grandparents have actually been born there. There is no certainty that they have not been born there. So rebirth in those realms is caused primarily by actions arising from hatred. So hatred is maybe a too strong a word in English, So the word in Tibetan, the word we use in Tibetan is shedang. So this is more, closer to the word resentment in English. Anyway, it's popular. We normally you use the word hatred. So anything that sort of you resent in others, you resent in. When we have jealousy, it's not necessarily from hatred, but jealousy comes from resentment, from the fact that others have something that you do not have, or maybe if someone else has the same thing as you already have, then you again start having jealousy and so on and so forth. So anyway, so when we talk about the three poisons of ignorance, hatred, and attachment, the main cause of the main emotional cause, or the main mental cause for being born in the hell realm is hatred. So I myself have accumulated an incalculable number of such actions in this present life, as well as in all my past lives. I can be of certain that I myself will be reborn in those hells sooner or later. Continuing to read the book. At present, I have a human life, complete with all the freedoms and advantages. I have met an authentic spiritual teacher and received the profound instructions which offer the possibility of attaining the level of the Buddha. So I must do my best to practice the methods that will save me from ever having to be born in those lower realms again. So this is what we have to. So this is what we are going to practice now. Okay. By practice, I mean we will contemplate on this. Okay. So what we are going to do is think of. Let us do this in a guided meditation style. So now, sitting wherever you are, sit comfortably and bring your attention by breathing in and breathing out. So we all do that, right? Breathing in and breathing out. So while breathing in, collect your thoughts together. Whatever else you are thinking about, just leave it for now. As you breathe in, collect all your thoughts to wherever you are sitting right now. And as you breathe out, retain that attention, retain that concentration, maintain that concentration, maintain that awareness. In the ocean, when you go to the beach, the waves, the water is sort of like the sea is washed ashore to the beach, but again the sea takes it back. And at every, even though the water is being washed ashore, it is always retained by the sea. Similarly, whenever we breathe in, collect all the thoughts within ourselves, because our thoughts spring from ourselves, from our mind. Our thoughts spring from our mind. So when we breathe in, retain all the thoughts, collect all the thoughts together, and as you breathe out, maintain it. Whatever is happening out there, don't pay attention. Just focus on your breathing in and breathing out. While you breathe in, collect all your thoughts, retain all your thoughts, and when you breathe out, maintain that thought within you. Now, instead of letting the mind scatter away, let's control our mind by making our mind think this thought. So the people living, now think like this, okay? People living in the hell realm, suffering in incredible suffering, inexpressible suffering, living in the ultimate the hell realm of the ultimate torment, where there is not a moment of peaceful, there is no moment of relief, suffering. Due to their negative karmas, they have been born in those hell realms, and they are suffering innumerably, but they are paying off the consequences of their negative actions. Even though we were born in the human realm, we also have the similar tendencies as those who were born in the hell realm, and we also have developed negative emotions, afflictive emotions of harming others, and etc., etc. And therefore, we can also be born there. It's just a matter of time. Now, this is such a terrible place to be. And if even there to be for one moment, or a single moment, it is something unthinkable. The only way to stop this, or the only way to stop ourselves from being born there, is to retract our steps. Retract our steps. So we have to go back. If we keep, so okay, let me explain. So if we keep doing the things that actually brought us into the hell realm, then we will be there for forever. So what we have to do is to take a few steps back and go into the opposite direction of the way which brought us to this hell realm. If you are thinking about when this meditation is going to be over, don't worry. Just focus on your breathing in and breathing out, and concentrate on the meditation. In this process, whenever your mind starts to go out, just bring it back by focusing on your breathing. Okay, so we are born in the hell realm because of our negative actions, and the only way to reverse it is by reversing our actions. So unless we reverse our actions, there is 100% certainty that we will be born there. And the first step of reversing your actions is called repentance, or regretting. Regret what you have done. Regret all the wrong things that I have done. Regret that all the wrong things that I'm going to do, I'm planning to do, I'm so happy to do them. So if I continue with the actions that I am doing right now, there is no other way. There is no way other than to be born in the hell realm. And since the hell realm is such a terrible place, I don't want to be born there. In order to stop that, I need to reverse my actions. So just like if you want to take when you are driving on the highway, and if you want to take a right, if you want to go to the right, you have to steer your steering wheel to the right. Similarly, if you want to avoid being born in the hell realm, you have to steer your actions away from the causes that will actually bring you to the hell realm. So very strong repentance for all the negative actions that I have done, all the bad things that I've done, and a strong will to ensure that I will not be doing any of this in the future. And this is how we stop ourselves from being born in the hell realm. And people, our loved ones, our relatives, people who are already born in the hell realm, we cannot do anything about them. We cannot do anything about them except to generate compassion towards them and to pray for them. So while contemplating on while contemplating on the sufferings of hell realms, we also, while contemplating on the suffering of the hell realms, we also generate bodhicitta towards the people who are already born there. So they are twofold. One is when we contemplate on the suffering of the samsara hell realm, We ensure that we are not born there, and also we generate bodhicitta for those who are already born there. So again, bring the attention to your breathing. Breathing in, make sure, repent all your negative actions, and make sure that you will not be born in the hell realm again by correcting your mistakes, by correcting your actions. I am breathing in right now. I am aware that all the negative actions and all the negative thoughts that I have towards others were wrong, and it is such a big mistake, and I regret it from the bottom of my heart. Breathing in, I repent all my negative actions and confess it in front of the Triple Gem. And with this confession, with this repentance, I am being cleansed. And this force of purity within me, I generate bodhicitta towards all the sentient beings who are suffering in samsara, especially in the hell realms, and who are going to be born in the hell realm. Breathing in, I repent all my mistakes, and I ensure that I will correct all my mistaken actions. Breathing out, I generate bodhicitta towards all the beings who are born in hell realm and who are going to be born in the hell realm. Breathing in, repentance for myself. Breathing out, bodhicitta for others. Breathing in, repentance for myself. Breathing out, bodhicitta for everyone else. Breathing in, repentance for myself. Breathing out, compassion for everyone else. Okay, that's it. So this is a short meditation. This is a short meditation. You can do it yourself whenever you have time, whenever you feel like doing so. Okay. So next we will cover the 8 cold hells, and so today we will stop here for Q&A.
I have one question, Rinpoche.
Yes, please go on.
Rinpoche, how can we avoid the suffering of feeling pains in the hell realms? Thank you, Rinpoche.
Okay. So when you are born in the hell realm, there's nothing you can do. Whatever pain is inflicted upon you, you will have to suffer it. There is no way out. Once you are born in hell realm, there is no way out. You are going to suffer. But what we can do, I think the question is more about avoidance, being born in this, avoiding to be born in hell realm in the first place. For which, as we covered earlier, the main cause of being born in this hell realm is our hatred or our resentment. So once we correct our thoughts, we can correct our actions, and when we correct our actions, we will no longer be born in the hell realms. When we correct our actions, we correct our tracks. So in the railways, they can go into different tracks. So you have to decide which track you are taking. Once you are on a certain track, once you decide to be on a certain track, then there is no way out until you come to another junction. Unless you come to another intersection. So we avoid hell realm by correcting our actions, which are harmful to others. When an action is prompted when a negative action to harm others is prompted by our resentment, either through jealousy, through hatred itself, through anger, these will create a negative karma, which will result in consequences of ourselves being born in the hell realm, suffering the immense pain and torment of a hell realm. And so this brings into, so when we talk about the negative, the actions, one might wonder what actions what we are talking about. So simply put, it's we talk usually there is the 10 sort of 10 cardinal sins, or the 10 negative actions, 3 of the mind, 3 of the body, and 4 of the speech. So if we avoid the negative, if we avoid the negative 10 negative actions, the 10 negative deeds as much as we can, and steer towards the opposite side of the 10 negative actions, 10 negative deeds, then of course not just hell realm, but samsaric life, even samsaric life can be avoided. To be born in the birth in the samsaric realm can be avoided. Next, please.
Rinpoche, there is a follow-up question on that part. So pain, Rinpoche, so pain and suffering is when the body and the mind are connected, right? So when we died, the body is separated from our mind stream. How can we separate the pain also?
Okay, very good question. Yeah. So death is when the mind is separated from the body. So when at the time of the death, when death occurs, how can we still feel pain? That is the question, right?
Right.
So very good question. Very good question. When we die, it is true that death is when the separation of the mind and body occurs. What happens is when we die, we are separated, or we leave this body, and then we enter into another body. So when a child is born, the trillions of years old soul, or the consciousness, enters a newly born 1 day or 1 hour old body of a baby. So even though this body, even the old mind is separated from this new body, it enters another body. The mind separates from the old body and enters into a new body. So, there are different types of suffering. There are different types of build. There are different types of identity. When you are born as an American, when you are born as an Indian, when you are born as a Tibetan, when you are born as a Vietnamese. So our identification of ourselves, when we talk about I, as a when we refer to yourself as I, it is different. Even within the human realm, as an American, as a Vietnamese, as a Tibetan, it's all different. And when you were born in the hell realm, you're not just racially different, but even the whole realm changes. Another example would be There was a time in your life when you really enjoy eating grass, green grass. And there was a time when you enjoy eating poop. When you were born as a fly out there, you're just eating poop. But as a human being, you cannot enjoy that. It's a different, so even though the consciousness is the same, it's the continuation of the same consciousness, the body is completely different. So the mind-body interaction is also different. So as a human being, we enjoy different things than when we were animals. Similarly, as human beings, we suffer from different pain than animals. Animals don't have chronic depressions. They don't have anxiety of sort, just like as human beings do. They don't plot to steal from others or to kill others and things like that. They don't plot. They don't plan things like that. Since they don't do such things. They don't have the capability to do such things. When they don't fail to do such things, and since they don't fail to do such things as they planned, they don't have depression or they don't have anxiety from not being able to do something that they wanted to do. Like human beings, we have dreams. We wanted to be millionaire. We wanted to be, famous, so on and so forth. They have no such dreams, and because of that, they don't suffer from the failure of not being able to accomplish those dreams. So similarly, even though when we die, we are separated from this body, we were gifted or we were endowed with the body of a hell being. And in that body, we suffer everything the same. Okay. Next question, please.
Prostrate Rinpoche. Can we say if we practice properly, such as doing according to the 10 merit deed and avoiding 10 negative actions, but it's said that if we have an instant negative thoughts when we face death, we'll have a chance to fall into the hell realm. Can you please explain more about this?
So, where we are going to be born in the afterlife depends entirely on the actions of this life, right? So action is nothing but karma. So karma is nothing but actions. So when we talk about actions, we are talking about karma. When we talk about karma, we are talking about actions, what we do in this life. So what we do in this life determines where we are born in the next life. So it is said that the karma or the actions, there's positive karma, there's negative karma, there's positive action and negative actions. So it depends on the volume of the karma. If you have a higher volume of positive karma, then at the time of death, this will determine where you will be born, decisively into the hell realm or the lower realms. And if you have a higher volume of the positive karma, then you will be born in the higher realms. So this is the first denominator, the volume of your karma. Okay, the first is the volume. Second is familiarity. So whichever actions, positive or negative, with which you are more familiar with, that will determine where you will be born at the time of death. So so if you are more familiar, obviously, if you have a higher volume of positive actions or positive karma, then you are more familiar. It's quite obvious that you are more familiar with positive actions, and so that will determine where you'll be born. So the first denominator of your rebirth is the volume of your karma, The second denominator is the familiarity of your karma or actions. And the third denominator is the thought, mental attitude that you have at the time of death. So this is what you are referring to when you said the instant thought at the time of death, right? So even that instant that thought at the last moment is very much sort of determined by your actions, your everyday actions. For example, if you have been doing something bad for your whole life, then it's very difficult for you to have a positive thought at the time of death. Some people do, but most people don't. So that's why we tell people to practice from an earlier stage. So at the time of the death, it can, determine that they have a positive denominator for their rebirth at the time of death. So the question was, how does this happen, and how to, how does this happen, right? So you have been doing good thing all your life, and at the time of death, you have a 1 second of bad thought, and that very moment, everything changes. How is that possible? So that's the question. So very good example is you are driving very well. You are driving carefully, following all the rules and doing all the good things. And in order to get to point A, so you have, there's point A, point B. So in order to get to point A, you have to take the left intersection, the left side. So you have been following all the rules, doing all the good things. You have your car is fueled, the petrol is there, everything is intact, everything is good. So you are driving very well until the very last moment. At the very last moment, instead of taking the right turn, which you have to do in order to get to point A, you take the left turn. So at the very last moment, if you take the left turn, no matter how well you have driven all the way through, it will actually take you to point B instead of point A. So similarly, what happens is at the time of death, very last moment. So this is the decisive moment. You have been talking. In a business deal, you do a lot of talk and a lot of talk and a lot of talk, discussion. The last moment when you sign the agreement, this is where the deal happens, right? This is where the closures are made. So at that moment, if you sort of mess up, then all the decisions, all the talks that has preceded before, actually sort of does not count. At the very last moment, what happens is, as a human being, as a sentient being, as an ordinary sentient being, we have our negative emotions, we have our afflictive emotions, afflictions, we have that. And afflictions are very strong emotions. So at the time of death, when we have a positive thought, our afflictions, even though we do have afflictions, our afflictions are sort of, our afflictions do work, but it is sort of enforced by a positive thought. And so at that moment, our affliction, especially our attachment, in the textual term, we use a word, we use a term called craving. So it's a stronger form of attachment. So at the time of death, there's a craving is always there. Craving is, the desire to do something, be something, be somewhere. So the desire will be there. The desire will be, the desire will be prevalent at time of death. So there's the desire to go somewhere. So when you have a positive mindset, the attachment actually sides. Attachment is like a very cheeky, a very, what do you call that kind of person? cheeky person, cheeky being. I don't know, like people who always sides with the stronger, who alliances with the stronger side. When that person is winning, you go with that side. When that person is winning, you go with that side. So afflictions are like that. So if you have a positive attitude at the time of death, your positive mindset is winning, is at the winning side. So because of that, our afflictions, especially our attachment, craving, will aligns, will our afflictions, especially our attachment, will ally, stick with the positive side. And therefore, the attachment will be, our craving will be attached to a positive outcome or a positive destination, positive goal. And so the same things with the, the vice versa. So you now understand? Attachment will be there at the time of death. At the very last moment, there will be craving. To crave, when we are hungry, we crave for food, right? At the time of death, we are kind of aware that we are leaving this world. So we crave for another world, another life. And that craving will that craving will ally with the winning side. If you have a positive mindset, it will ally with the positive side. If you have a negative mindset, it would ally with the negative mindset. And that will determine where you will be born. So that last minute good thought or positive thought becomes the ultimate denominator of where you will be born. And this might bring the question, okay, then why should we need to practice all our life, right? If this is the ultimate denominator, maybe we don't need to practice, because at the time of death, somebody gives us positive sides. We try to cultivate positive mindset, and then we will be born in the higher realm. This is how we do it. We just trick we can trick law of causality. We can trick karma. But what happens is, if you're not accustomed to a positive mindset, then at the time of death, it'll be very hard for you to bring your attention to something positive. If you have been a very cruel person, cunning person, trying to cheat and to do all the negative things your whole life, even at the time of death, if somebody tells you, like, okay, you have this and that much wealth, how about leaving a will for the poor people and thing like that, then they will say, no, I won't. They don't want to do that, because this is something that they're not accustomed. So it is something they are not comfortable with. And sometimes, even when we, at the time of death, people who are not accustomed to positive, accumulating positive actions, when we teach them the Dharma, when we recite the mantras, when we show the picture of Buddha and so on and so forth, they're not able to see them. It's right in front of their eyes, but they are not able to sort of like visibly consume the things that is in front of them. Okay.
No more questions.
Thank you so much, Yaman. And now we do the dedication. Yewa, Ye, Yudo, Da, Lama.